I get real heated about that one.
I'm almost thinking about like, what if I would have learned Common Core back when I was learning math, and what if I would all of a sudden be like really fucking good at math, like even today, and it could have like branched off into something else.
It's gonna help a lot of kids.
But because it never clicked in my brain, maybe I was like, oh well, math just doesn't fucking work in my fucking head.
Yeah, because you could be bad at memorization though, which has nothing to do with actual math. That's the way they used to teach us when we were kids. That's how they taught math, was memorization, formulas, and the way, instead of actually understanding how stuff works together.
I think that's the most surprising thing, is that education has been here for such a long time to the point where we haven't really kind of mastered it yet. And I'm not saying we should have it down 100% packed to where we're able to spread the knowledge to everyone's minds. But how are we not better, right?
Well, but there's a good example is that we're trying to get better. And when we do things like this and try to get better, you have an older generation who shuns it and pushes it away.
Well, I don't even think it's that.
And that's not even just for school or math. That's literally everything in life.
I mean, it comes down to the funding for education. You have to look at examples and look at the best school district that's near us right now. And it's on the Kansas side, and it's Blue Valley School District. And from what I've heard, which
you have kids, so that makes sense for you. I have no clue. I don't have kids, so I don't look into that kind of stuff.
But so the new guy that's training right now as a manager where we work, his wife works at Blue Valley, and she's a teacher there. She teaches gifted and talented students. And what he had described to me, and Carrie and my wife had told me a little bit about Blue Valley, because we'd like our kids to go there, is the fact that it's 15 people per classroom. It's not anything more than that. So you can focus
more on the individual students, which is great.
Yeah, and then not only that, come to find out from this guy that I'm training, from his wife, is they don't have homework. They have zero homework. They leave school, they don't have any homework at all.
I also think that's how it should be done.
Yeah, they complete their work in school, and you shouldn't have to rely on your parents. Not all parents are going to be able to teach their kids the things that they need to know. Should parents be more involved? Yes, of course, 100%. But is every single parent going to know how to teach their kids things in high school or math or whatever subject?
You should learn more moral and ethics and values from your parents, not math or, like what goes into a cell or, what the fucking atom is.
Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That came in handy.
How the rain, fucking shit works. What the fuck is that called?
The atmosphere.
Rain?
Yeah, whenever it's precipitation,
condensation,
and evaporation.
Yeah.
Lactation.
That's called something.
I don't know, like a water cycle or some shit.
I'm pretty sure there's a word for that. See, I can't even, if I had a kid, I wouldn't fucking...
But you know that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and that does you no good. That helps you in no way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
In any way in life.
They need it, yeah. So it should be divvied up a little different. Like, you as a parent should be giving the moral structure, the ethics, not the actual super tangible, super specific history, science, fucking math, all that. Like,
did you guys ever have and I'll give you an example in just a second. I'm making sure that spiked because I was still talking at the same time. We're good. Did you guys ever have a really weird and out there and nothing to actually do with school homework assignment? I did not, but I'm going to give an example real quick. A few weeks ago, I went to visit my dad and help him move around some stuff and whatnot, and my nephew, Hunter, was there hanging out with the family and stuff, and he had an assignment where they had like and I guess I should give his age to kind of, he is 8 years old, so that would be what, second grade, third grade?
I have no idea.
You start kindergarten in fifth, roughly third grade.
Like fourth grade, yeah, third or fourth grade.
Yeah, I'm just going to say third. I'm going to say third grade.
More third grade.
So, yeah, he's 8 years old, third grade. And he has, he brought home this, like, little backpack that each student takes home for a weekend. So, like, one weekend, one student will take it home. Next weekend, a different student takes it home, so on and so forth. And it had, like, a little owl that had some kind of name, something like that. And they had, like, he had to take pictures with the owl of what he was doing with it that weekend, like had to take it where he went and stuff and take pictures with it, and then they would post the pictures in the scrapbook thing, in the notebook, and then write about what he did with the owl and his family and stuff. And I'm like, man, this is just super weird. I don't understand the point of this. The project, all in all, I see what they're getting at, and at the end of the year, You can go back and look through it and see what all the students did.
Oh,
There's
that's cute.
Multiple Yeah.
Now
exactly.
look at little Jimmy.
That's-
Look at little Jimmy, whose alcoholic father is passed out on the fucking couch.
Who
with
ripped
his
the
fucking
owl's head
dick out.
off.
Yeah, with his fucking dick out. Now little Johnny's got a black eye because his dad doesn't know why the fuck he's bringing owls from fucking school and shit home.
No,
and now little Jimmy's fucking feels
Like,
ostracized from the rest of people because
It's
this
a
isn't.
cute project at the end of the year to look through or whatever. But is there anything like I don't know. I just remember being over there, seeing Hunter have to do that, and he was telling my dad and my stepmom, like, I really don't want to do this, guys, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, on one hand, I'm trying to be encouraging and be like, Hunter, do your homework, like, blah, blah, blah. On the other hand, I'm like, this is fucking dumb as shit.
Yeah,
like,
it's
I wouldn't
stupid
want
as
to do
fuck.
this
There's
either.
nothing to do, and that's not even for the kids' benefit. It's for the fucking
It's
parents.
it's for the
It's
parents.
for the parents to be like, oh, this is cute. Look at my fucking kid with the owl, and this is where
And
we went.
my dad, my
just
dad and my
makes-
stepmom didn't want to do it either. And they're not, like, bad parents by any means. They're,
No, it's fucking stupid. That's ridiculous. That's just fucking
It's a
stupid.
I was just curious if
tad
you
bit
guys
weird.
had anything
Fuck
like
that
that, or
owl.
you remember anything like that, anything out there that
No,
was
no.
because I didn't.
mean,
I didn't have anything. One weekend I took home the pet snake, but it wasn't like an assignment. It was
Right.
every weekend a student, if they wanted to, could put their name in a hat, and then if your name gets drawn, you get to take home the pet snake for the weekend.
I never understood the stupid ass Valentine's Day cards you had to fucking hand out. on
You got candy on
Day.
Valentine's Day, though. You got candy, man.
I know, but you're supposed to bring it in though and fucking hand it out to everybody else, like stupid ass Valentine's Day cards, like, which I forgot to fucking tell my mom about anyway. So I was always like me and like one other like motherfucker who just didn't get to participate because we
you didn't bring candy
shit
and didn't
yeah,
care?
we didn't fucking. Cause I don't give a shit.
That's
Like,
good.
I was almost wondering like why is every other guy in here like gives a shit and fucking participates in this? I don't know. I did not participate very well in school at all. I just didn't do well in school. I didn't enjoy school really.
I didn't either. I hated school.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, there was
Nothing fun about it.
there was
the
girls.
slightest.
There was girls there.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, that was about it.
I mean, yeah. Once you're getting into
I smoked weed one time before school too.
One
That was-
time.
Same bad idea.
That was. I didn't even really get high that time. I think I did it. I don't even think I fucking inhaled it. I was really young.
Oh man, my junior year, we used to go out to the parking lot, and which you guys know, I moved around a lot, so I went to a lot of different schools and stuff. But my junior year, the majority of it was spent in Stockton, Missouri, which would have had, I didn't graduate there, but it would have had, if I'd stayed there, a graduating class of like 70 something. Which to me seems pretty small. I know there's people out there who have smaller classes, but to me 70 something was pretty small. Everybody knew each other and stuff. But it was super cool because it was the only place I went to school where, like, on break or on lunch break, like if you were in high school, you could just leave. Like you had like 30 minutes to an hour. I can't remember the actual time, but you could just leave. So people would go to Sonic right down the road or gas station or whatever. We all go kick it and do whatever, drive our trucks, But I remember smoking weed hardcore in the parking lot that year, like pretty much all of junior year. Back when I actually used to like smoke weed a lot. I don't anymore. Pretty much ever.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Junkies. We got a lot of good things coming our way. We got Mike Anderson coming on the 17th. Are you still going out of town?
As of right now, it's a yes, but
Okay.
it's like a 70-30 chance.
Got you. We have Mike Anderson coming on the podcast, and then the following week, whenever you get back, Johnny, we will have a lady by the name of Jen on. We're going to talk about some medicine shit, shots, and all that fun stuff. Okay. I won't sugarcoat it. We're going to talk about vaccines, and it's not gonna go one way. It's going to go both ways, and we're going to have a good conversation. We're going to get informed. She's going to get informed. Whatever.
I'm actually going to do a good
Yeah.
amount of research before that one because I want to have an educated outlook and try to be non-biased about it as well.
For sure,
to the
yeah.
best of my abilities.
I'll be eating sushi the entire time, probably drinking sake, just sitting in the back listening.
Nice.
No, man.
Nice.
You got to.
No, obviously I'm going to
Yeah.
participate.
No, I'm
just
excited, man.
No, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to have.
kidding about the sushi. Part.
I'm excited to have Mike Anderson on again. If you guys haven't in the past watched any of the podcasts with him, just do a little search through and look for any of the Mike Anderson ones. We've done 2 with him so far.
I got a guest podcast playlist.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you can just check it out on there.
Yeah, the Mike Anderson ones they're good. They're solid.
They are. And to all of our subscribers out there, I am trying extremely hard to just get people who are informed on certain subjects to try and join our show. It is not a easy process in any way, shape, or form. So bear with us. I know we haven't had a guest in a while. but we are working on it. We are doing our due diligence, and
we've got stuff scheduled.
Yeah, we do. So get ready for that. Obviously, please hit the like button. Share this. This is the only way to combat the YouTube algorithms. It exists, obviously. I'm not going to say it was a mistake. Jason is a very smart individual, very nice guy, but when we had him on our show, our views have been cut down in half since that has happened. So for some reason, they don't like Jason, and I'm not accrediting that podcast to the reason why we have half the views.
There could
now.
be so many other multitude of reasons as well.
I know, man, but
you're right.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense
really
that that's
weird.
what it is.
It's really weird. We averaged anywhere from 60 to 80 views per podcast before we did the show with Jason, and then since then it's been 20, 25, 30 at the most. So the only thing that I can think of is we did that podcast and it fucked our algorithm up.
Could be. Who knows? But they're going to get... there's some stuff in the works, and when you get this new computer down, I've got a lot of editing stuff that I've actually already been working on and pulling up and whatnot that it's going to be good.
Nice.
It's going to be good.
Sweet and sexy. We were talking a little bit about George Carlin, and if anyone who's listening to this podcast has never seen any of his stand-up, I'd highly suggest it. Like you were talking about, Jesse, he gets into religion, and I find it fascinating the way that he talks and the amount of work that he put into his stand-up. It was phenomenal. To have that sort of thought process on how big this world is and how small things truly are, and the way that he presents it is amazing. In the aspect of when he breaks down the 10 Commandments and boils it down to basically 2 commandments. He also made a good point about if God, I forget how he said it. He was talking about amendments and how we have this amount of amendments, another country has this amount of amendments, another country has even more amendments.
Talking about like constitutional amendments?
Yeah, which
I don't know. I like Carlin. I just haven't heard him in a
for
long
sure.
time.
Which are allegedly godly. You know what I'm saying? Like God set these rules for this country, and it was this many rules. And then over at this country, it's a different...
Well, you talk about, like, God-given rights. Like,
exactly,
when people talk about human rights, you talk about God-given rights is how it's presented, which is just what everyone should have as far as rights of human beings.
Which we have 0.
What do you mean?
That's what's within the stand-up is that we have no rights, technically.
Oh,
Well,
I see.
all
I'd have to listen to the stand-up again. I really would.
Is it all of our rights can be taken away?
Right, exactly.
Or is it liberties?
No, it's rights.
Yeah, because rights can be taken away.
It's the idea that we have rights, but they can be taken away at any time, any time ever. They can be taken away like that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
What? I was trying to think of a good thing to say about M.A. Faria from the book, what's it called? The Count of Monte Cristo. He talks about, he's basically talking about what's important is like freedom. He was like being free. He was like, no, freedom can be taken away. And he asked about like all these rights. Basically, he's like, no, all those rights can be taken away. What's truly yours is your mind and how you react to scenarios. Basically, that's the only thing that you really have control of. That you can be free in your own head, given just how to react to shit. He was like, you have all this can be taken away. You can be thrown in a fucking prison cell for whatever like bullshit reason. He goes, but the one thing that they can never take away from you is your thoughts and your mind. So he says, focus on that first. Focus on the inner self, your mind first.
How do you do that? Have you tried it?
Well, I don't fucking know. I went off on that. I was just trying to think of something.
No, that's
to
a really
say.
good point.
It's the one thing they can't fucking take from you.
I've never really thought about it that way because, like, one of my biggest fears would be like prison or something. I hate the idea of not having freedom. Fortunately, I haven't had to deal with this in a long time, but like you had to a while back. Like, if my car was in the shop for a day, one day, like if my car was in the shop for a day, I'd freak the fuck out. I might not even drive anywhere in 2 days. I might stay at home one day and then the next day get a ride from someone because I'm drinking and go do something. But it's the fact that it's the knowing that I don't have it.
Right.
Knowing that I don't have that freedom. And it's the same way, like, one of my worst recurring nightmares in the past.
You got 2 legs, man.
And no, I know that.
And plenty friends.
I realize that, but it's
not the same.
It's not the same as not having to tell a soul.
You're right.
Not owing anybody anything. Not having to contact one of my friends. Just me, myself, being like, at this moment, I want to be 300 miles from here. Even though I never do that, I'm saying it's something about that knowing that you have the ability to, knowing that you have that freedom, and it can be applied on a larger scale with the whole prison thing. Knowing that you're not stuck or confined to like one thing.
Do you think it's crazy that we have those sort of stipulations that govern us? And I don't know. We've definitely talked about this before, but is it crazy that we have laws like that can put people in jail over the smallest things, to where they're in jail and that's all you have is your mind, based upon someone else's decision to put you there?
It's still hilarious to me that, like, honestly, actually, I shouldn't even say hilarious. I should say absolutely terrifying and honestly pathetic, and we should be kind of disgraced as a country to a degree. But that there are individuals right now in prison who have been there for like 40 years or so for selling marijuana. And marijuana is now legal in like 14 states recreationally. And there are people who are still in jail for it because at the time when they did this, it was a crime. And you're talking about a crime of victimless crime.
If nonviolent marijuana drug offenders are actually let out of prison or reduced sentence depending on what they're having because it's legalized, it's not like they keep them in there.
Oh, they are.
They do release them.
Okay, no, that's good then. I didn't.
Once the
It's
reform
legal in that
But
happens.
they shouldn't have been in there in the first place.
Yeah, but once the reform happens, they do release them. It's not like they compensate them for the fact that,
Oh,
our bad. By the way, this is probably fucking misconstrued this whole time, and,
And to anybody who out there who doesn't
we fuck
agree
you.
with, like, if you're not all about that, you don't agree with like drug use or any of that or so on and so forth, that's perfectly fine. That's your own choice. This can be used for a lot besides just marijuana. I was just using it because that's the example that I thought of at the time. But there's a ton of small-time crimes out there that people are put in jail for. And, man, prison in itself, in a way, is a cruel and unusual punishment to a degree.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying that I have a better
The idea
alternative.
that
I'm
they
not saying that I
use-
have a better alternative.
the idea that they use the word correctional facility, like they don't correct anything while you're in there. What it is it's an institution for creating more criminals is all it does. Is because once you go through the system, your percentage chance of being a criminal again or having another criminal offense all fucking skyrockets because and it's honestly the longer you spend in prison,
I was gonna
the
say,
higher chance
I don't
you
know
are
the-
being a criminal whenever you're let out. There's no correcting anything.
I don't know the number, but they did studies and said that over a certain amount of years, I have no clue what it is. It could be 10 years, it could be 50. I don't know the number. But after a certain amount of years, you're more likely to not be able to
integrate back
back into society.
because of
Fucks with
a
your psyche,
sociological
man.
sociological.
Fucks with your psyche.
I mean, think about it. If you're 7 or even older, if you're 20 years old and you go to prison for 20 years, that's half your lifetime. And part of your developing lifetime is as well, because I don't remember all the shit I did as a kid. Like, if you're counting ages 1 through 10, I mean, sure, that develops you on like an intellectual level and a social level and all this and so forth. But like, I don't have any friends from when I was 10 years old. I don't remember any of that shit. You form a lot of it in your 20s and late teens and so on and so forth, and even early 30s maybe. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
But like, to go to prison at 20 and come in at 40 and just supposed to like live a normal life?
The amount of change, especially right now with the society that we live in here in America, the amount of change in 20 years is astronomical. You're going to come back into society. You're nowhere in any way, shape, or form close to being ready to join that society.
Yeah.
And another thing about George Carlin, the way he said it's like capital punishment. I'm going to go a little bit back to the godly side and the religious side, man. And you're probably the first person who woke me up. I've never been a religious person in my life, ever. But until you started to break it down on how you were force-fed religion and how it affected you, and the way you paint a picture, it's not like a negative way to look at it, but it's just like if you simply think about the Bible and a lot of the shit that it says, like capital punishment, really, like you just have the right to just take someone's life, lethal injection, however you want,
Pretty ridiculous, right?
by the hand of God. And that's what George Carlin said. He's like, you know who's killed the most people ever in the name of God? I mean, so many people have died in the name of God because of religion.
The majority of wars have been fought on religion.
Exactly.
And if you were truly moral, you wouldn't want to go to war with somebody because you'd be sending them to hell. Technically, according to you and your religion, every person that you kill, you'd be sending to hell for eternity, like because they were going against your religion. So literally, you would never.
Should be trying to like save
You
them.
would never. The most inhumane thing you could do, because it's not only taking a life, but you're talking about putting a soul to burn in fire and sulfur and fucking worms and however else they describe it in the Bible for all eternity. It should never be justifiable by by Christian terms to go to war with another opposing, ideology, within that sense. That should never be a thing, but they don't. They've never cared.
It makes me want. Aren't there like 2 sites on Earth where they allege where Jesus was born?
Born?
Yeah, like born, like where Mary had Jesus.
So
Like
that
there's
Bethlehem?
It was
Bethlehem.
and there's like they say that they have like the actual like spot where he was born too.
Well, Bethlehem is
I don't
what,
know.
in Jerusalem?
How do you have evidence like that? How the fuck do you know that that's where Jesus was born over thousands of years?
There is the only accounts of Jesus are the ones given by
Like the apostles?
by his apostles.
So
but,
written.
But the apostles are not historians, though. This is what I mean.
They're storytellers?
They're not historians. There are a couple of accounts of historians accounting Jesus' life, but all of those have been proven to be fabricated by the Catholic Church. I know that sounds like some conspiracy theory shit that I'm bringing up because I'd have to show some other shit. But actual historians, there's only been, and it's been really misconstrued. He's not. Let's just say this: he's not well documented outside of the Bible with the apostles.
And and when did he die? Like the age of 33 or something, right? Isn't that when he died?
No, at the age of 33 is when he began his ministry, I believe. I don't think he died at 33. I could be wrong on this.
So
if I
clue.
remember, he started his ministry at 33.
In the Bible, and if
he
started
died at 33. I don't fucking know.
So did he live a full life of no sin?
Yes.
He never full sinned.
Never full sin.
Never full
You
sin.
said this the other day, and I was okay. What the fuck is the definition of full sin?
Full sin is just it's go as hard as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Full
what
sin?
That's what I fucking thought. But we had a conversation. Okay. That's what I fucking
Jordan
thought.
got me on that word.
Full sin?
I
Full sin.
credit that to
Sinned
Jordan
it.
100%. Yeah, full sin.
I sexually identify as a piece of mail because all I do is fucking send it.
No, because that was the whole point. Is that Jesus? Man, I almost hate going into like this is fucking Bible
I'm just
class
curious,
or some
man.
shit.
I'm curious.
So basically, the short fucking version of this, which isn't going to be fucking too short. People back in the day, the Jewish people, whenever they sinned, to atone for their sins, like once a year, they would go and they would sacrifice a lamb. They would take the purest lamb, baby lamb that they could find, not a blemish to be on it. Couldn't have a limp, couldn't be anything. It had to be completely perfect. They'd slit its fucking throat, let it bleed out. There would be a sacrifice to fucking God, and their sins would be atoned for, and then they'd be able to
Why
go
would God
go
want
into
that?
heaven.
Why would God want that?
This is actually how they did it back in the day. Is they'd sacrifice a lamb. So this whole
It
point
was also to atone for the sins of those that couldn't atone themselves, such as like babies and stuff like that.
I don't know anything
So
about
they're-
that, but I'm sure that
they're
that
I
sounds-
remember
that
asking
sounds
that
fairly
question in
accurate too.
church when I was younger.
They're asking for forgiveness for babies who can't ask for forgiveness yet.
Sure.
Is that
So
what you're
so they
saying,
kill.
Ronnie?
So
That was part of it. yeah.
Okay.
that's going down a different rabbit hole. I'm just trying to explain you this. They would have to. The whole point was to atone for their sins and for them to enter into the kingdom of God after they died. They'd have to each year kill this perfect, unblemished fucking lamb, slit its fucking throat, let it bleed out, and they do probably a little ritual, I'm assuming, along with it, and then they'd be fine for another year or however it worked in the Jewish religion. So now the Jewish religion also had a prophesied Messiah that would eventually come and then set them free because they were very a very hated on group. I'm trying to think of the word where other cultures would shit on them, enslave them. They would be very persecuted. They were a very persecuted group of people. They were looking for an absolute leader. All this, whatever. King David fucking came along, did some fucking shit. Jerusalem, blah, blah, blah. And then there's this prophecy of the fucking chosen one. So Jesus is supposedly the ultimate sacrifice, the end lamb, to where you don't have to kill lambs anymore. That's why you don't see Christians running around slitting fucking lambs' throats anymore, because you don't have to do that. Because Jesus was the ultimate perfect sacrifice to God.
So Jesus,
Because he was sinless and perfect, he sacrificed himself, died for everyone's sins, and atoned for everyone's sin. It was the ultimate
Not only
sacrifice
then,
to
but
God.
in the future as well.
Okay, so
It was God's Son sacrificing himself for the sins of everyone else, the way anybody who believes in him can have everlasting life in fucking heaven. So God basically sent his son, knew that he was going to fucking die, killed him in a horrible fucking way, sacrificed him because, God's in control of everything, and he can do whatever he wants, but it's got to be this very specific, my son's going to have to go to Earth.
Follow the rules. Follow the rules.
We're going to have to fucking torture the fuck out of him. Kill him in this awful way. Now me and you, we don't have to kill little baby lambs now. So all we have to do is fucking pray, and we can make it into heaven, as long as you have the right religion, which is the Christian religion. But you can't be wrong about the Christian religion, because if it gets a little too astray.
How does that sound logically in any way, shape, or form? Logic, like how is there any logic to that in any way, shape, or form?
No, it's pretty ridiculous.
And how long ago did this allegedly occur? I forget. A couple thousand years ago.
I mean, I can tell you the exact number of years.
2019 years
Yes.
ago. Sorry. Okay,
2000. There you go. 2019 years ago is when this happened.
How the fuck do we know what happened 2019 years ago? There's a book written by apostles, whatever you have. Like you said, they're not historians. How do you take that in any way? How do you take that into truth? How do people live their lives based on a book where they have no idea? I guess that's just people like that shit.
Advertising, bro.
They get off on it.
The Bible's been marketed real well for about 2019 years.
Religion's been
number one bestseller.
It is.
Dude, religion's like mosquitoes, man. Like, they'll come and they'll suck your blood, they'll leave you and go to another
There are
human
good
being.
things about religion as well.
No,
and this is
we've-
coming from someone who...
And we've talked about this, and I know you've said it. And
yeah.
it may set people straight, man, but it's for the wrong reasons.
I realize that. It is for the wrong reasons. But I want to clarify for out there, because whether we like to admit it or not, there are religious people out there who probably watch this or listen or whatever. And there's nothing... I mean, there is nothing inherently evil about the idea of religion. The evilness, or not evilness, but the bad parts that I see are when people skew it and really just... I don't know. Anytime you're affecting someone else's life...
Let me break it down real simple.
Clarify for me, because I'm doing a bad job of this.
I've said this like 20 fucking times on this podcast. If ever you get confronted with a scenario to where you're like, I'm sorry, I can't participate in this because of my religion and what I believe in, that's perfectly fine. It's the second you come in and you tell somebody else, hey, you can't do that because my religion doesn't tell you to. If you live your life based on whatever religion, I'm a libertarian, you have all the freedom in the world to believe whatever you want, live your life whatever path you decide to choose, as long as you're not affecting anyone else. The second you step in and say, we need to kill all these fucking motherfuckers over here because they believe a different religion than me, then you're a fucking piece of shit.
Yep.
Is basically. So whenever you're not allowing other people to live their life the way that they want to, because you're like, I have it completely right because of my religion or my belief, doesn't even have to be religion, but the way that I believe, and you're more than welcome to live your life that way. But the second you suppress someone else from living their life the way that they want to, when they're not hurting anyone else, and all of a sudden now you're this fucking tyrannical fucking governing, I'm God sent fucking, this is absolute right what I'm saying out of my mouth, and you can't do this because of this, you're an absolute fucking festering scab that needs to be lifted.
There's a good example. There's a good example in modern day, brought up more so a couple of years ago, but still modern day. There's nothing wrong with going to church and worshiping together as a group and all that and so on and so forth, because it goes with what you said. It's not affecting anybody else.
Congregate.
Perfect example of what you shouldn't do, though, like Westboro Baptist going and picketing soldiers' funerals and so on and so forth and all this different kind of stuff, then you are going out of your way to negatively affect another individual's life.
And
you're scum.
I think everybody has
the
consensus of what I actually believe, because even Christians are like, man, fuck those motherfuckers that are doing that shit.
Do you see where we're at, though?
Fucking outlandish.
Look where we're at now, and look where religion has gotten us. So you say some of these small aspects of religion are fine and congregating and doing these group things where you have preachers...
I'm not saying that they're 100% fine, by the way. I'm saying you're more than willing to do it.
For sure, that's fine. But you have preachers sitting there spreading this message, and if it's false... You know, I don't know what the percentage of it could be that maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Maybe Jesus was here, maybe he wasn't. But if he wasn't, and all this is happening right now, and it's happened for 2,000 years, do you know what the implications are of that? We're seeing it right now. People are dying in mass scale. Millions upon millions of people have died because of religion.
Well, that's because you're getting into the second part of what Jesse said, where you're affecting someone else's life negatively. Right. What I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with it if you're not doing option B. But you're not fucking with other people.
For sure. But still, like, the idea that you're worshiping something that is not even close to being true.
Potentially.
You know, I mean, that's just a hindrance and a waste of someone's time in life.
You know what I've never got real quick? And someone out there, if you're a Christian and you know a lot about it, because I've had to have stuff explained to me in the past. I remember a youth pastor explaining to me the whole lamb thing, because I had a serious question about what do you do for, like, babies and stuff who can't accept Jesus in their heart because they're not, like... They don't know any better, but they're still born with sin.
They don't even know the fucking answer to that.
But no, he had an answer about the lamb. Okay, my point is,
it's a great question, by the way.
What I want to know is, does God have sin?
Well, God can't. God has to be perfect.
Okay,
because
so if God doesn't have sin, then explain to me the line where it said that God is a jealous God. He wants you to worship him and no false idols because he is a jealous God. If jealousy is nothing but greed and envy, which are 2 of the 7 deadly sins.
It's a really fucking good question. Dismantle the Bible. Are we just going to dismantle the Bible tonight? 'Cause
I just
could
had a few
fucking-
questions, man.
I should have got some more.
If God is
fucking
that's the one. I'm serious. This isn't like a
No,
this isn't like a
that's
hey,
straight-
fuck your religion. This is a serious question that if you have the answer to in the comments, let me
would,
know.
They would explain to you that through hermeneutics and through translation to translation to translation,
That the word jealous has
the
been-
only word that we can use is jealous, and there's a negative condemnation towards the word jealous, and that it is sinful. But it's not actually what God means is by
Either
being
way,
jealous.
if God only wants
But
you to
that's
love,
actually a very loving. That's actually a very loving thing that He wants you to be with Him, and you have to like worship Him and appreciate Him for all the
that's
things.
still
that
an
he's done.
envious and greedy thing for a.
Seems a little narcissistic,
Right?
Yeah.
I've asked a pastor. I'm
Does
like,
seem
hey,
a
what? I was
little
like, what happens?
narcissistic.
I was like, what happens when you die? And I was like, what happens if I go to heaven? And I was like, is there sex in heaven? Can I drink? Can I fucking party with my homies and talk to whoever? And he's like, no, you're just gonna.
Catholic heaven, you could drink.
He's like, nah, man. He's like, you're gonna worship God. I'm like, I don't want to just worship some dude for in forever. I don't want to do that.
There's been jokes made about that too. I don't know if it might have been Jim Jeffries that fucking said this, but he was like, if heaven is only worshiping God, he was like, that sounds just as bad as any hell you
Right.
could ever fucking give me.
So
if I get to be in church for all of eternity, fuck that shit. That sounds just as bad as fucking hell.
So my question is, man, in it's 2019. So many things are happening. The world has been the world for such a long time. Logic seems to get you very far in this life. I mean, you see with your eyes. There's only so much you can see, but to say that you're going to die and just worship God forever, that just doesn't. There's no logic behind that.
My own personal belief on it, or opinion, whatever you want to call it, and a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, but I think that religion as a whole, other than just a control thing that kind of spiraled out of control, ironically, back in the day, whenever it was first created, I think that a big part of it is the fear of the unknowing. I've went back to this before when we talk about
For sure.
ancient Egyptian religion, so on and so forth. They don't know how the sun works, so they have a sun god. They
So
don't know how
that's-
fertility works, so they have a fertility god, so on and so forth. The whole point, the whole thing of worshiping something is about something you don't know. We do not know what happens after we die, and that terrifies us. It's absolutely terrifying. So to have that fear lifted from your shoulders by truly believing in something so that fear just dissipates and isn't there anymore, that could be a wonderful feeling. That doesn't mean that it's accurate or correct, and you could be faking it the whole way and not even know it.
And that's not. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that we're in a day and age where so much is being able to be explained through science. And I've always said, science has always replaced religion. Like you need religion because that's what explains so much.
Science is man-made,
and
though.
then science
I don't
comes
want-
in.
I don't want to start shit right now, but science is man-made.
What do you mean
technically.
science is man-made?
It's ideas from men. It's the same thing as the Bible.
But
Men
it's-
created the Bible.
But it's
I don't want to get
I'm not-
too far into this
I don't
because
either.
you and I, Paul, we end up kind of arguing back and forth on it.
We do.
But I go back
we
to
know.
the fact
Okay. Let me ask you this:
we'll move on from that.
Is the sun some guy rowing a boat across the sky?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Is the sun 93 million miles away?
Yes.
How do you know that?
I'm not going to go down that road with you.
Right.
This is okay. Not to jump
I answered
in.
your question. You couldn't answer mine, but that's fine. We'll leave it there. Continue.
This is science has always replaced religion to a factual knowing that we know. Man, I need to be careful now with Paul. I feel like Paul's
No. I'm
Paul's-
good. I'm good.
Paul's
I'm good.
Paul's cocked fucking
Nah, bro. I'm chill. I'm chill.
44 goddamn
This is-
Magnum right now.
no.
I got to be real careful. I mean, that hammer is
Honestly,
back.
if we're ever
I
like
need
at
to be
if
real
we're-
fucking careful with
if
what
we
I
ever
say
did-
right now.
if we
You're
ever
good,
did this-
man. You're good.
If we decide to do a little offshoot podcast that's not a real podcast, but like a 20-minute discussion where we're sober, I might add.
For
Like
sure.
100% stone cold sober.
Yeah.
I would love for the people out there to get to see a little behind-the-scenes coverage of a debate between the three of us about science, because it is interesting.
Yeah.
It leads to some slight arguments. Nothing wrong with that. It's that when we get too much alcohol involved and later do stuff and so on and so forth, that it becomes a problem.
For sure.
We are not all completely agreeant on everything on this podcast. We do have some wavering things, even though we tend to just be on the same side, which we do need to argue some things because that would make the podcast more interesting. But basically what I was getting at is that religion changes and has to adapt to the new technologies that come in and the new explanation of things, and then religion has to form fit it. It's not the other way around. It's not that this microphone now has to... Man, I'm trying to think of a better example than that. Religion has always had to conform to science and technology. It has not been the other way around. So the leading force in all of this shouldn't be a book where you get your shit. You need to take it more with a fucking goddamn grain of salt, is what I'm saying here. Because there are multiple religions. There are plenty of religions that are accepting of other religions. Hindus, Taoists, fucking can walk hand in hand with a Christian and have a debate about God or whatever, and still like just debate God or whatever and be perfectly fucking fine.
Because it's more of like an ideal than unwavering, unchanging fact.
That they know that maybe that they fucking everything's not so fucking set in stone, and you're going into very deep philosophical shit that is not going to get solved on this podcast tonight.
I'm not asking to solve
Yeah.
anything. I literally want to open up people's minds, because
absolutely your mind should
minds of the mundane grind of what everyone lives, and then when you have that small ample time to try and discover who you are truly as a person is very important time. And sometimes people flood that with fucking religion or science or some other bullshit, as opposed to just figuring out who you are truly as a person. You know what I'm saying? Sit down, relax, meditate, deep breathe, do some shit, figure out who you are. Don't worry about who God was or who Jesus was or what fucking science is saying. That's all I'm trying to get across.
I get that.
Truly. And a lot.
Truly. White Claw.
White Claw.
You know what I'm saying, man? That's what's up, man.
I feel you.
What do you think about Alan Watts, man?
I fucking love Alan Watts
Dude.
so much.
Tell me why you love Alan Watts. What is so good about Alan Watts?
Alan Watts is, in my opinion, the greatest philosopher I have ever listened to, and he's a great public speaker. But what he has made my mind fucking think about, and don't get me wrong, there's been a couple of times when I've been on some heavy psychedelics and I've listened to him, which might have had a partial effect. But the way that he presents, he just presents questions to you. But what if this is? Now think about this. He never tells you anything. Alan Watts is never, this is how this is. He just proposes questions. And then he'll propose more questions, and then he'll be like, well, then this is where this branches off to. He just proposes questions. He never tells you this is set in stone, this is exactly what this is. It's just constant.
Because he wants you to actually think for yourself?
Yeah, just to think for a minute. And he will, ask, I don't even want to, dude, some of the shit that Alan Watts gets into just blows my mind, man.
Do you get a Jordan Peterson vibe? Like, does he give you a little bit of vibe from Alan Watts? Like,
I feel like Jordan Peterson's a lot more of a motivational...
No, he's more current day. Okay, so Jordan Peterson is more current, super current times, ethics and what's happening within the political system right now as far as where things are going. As to where Alan Watts is very super philosophical, to where there is no right or wrong answer at some point, where he asked about, like, what would the nature of God be? Like if there was a God, like how would he act? And tries to put it in fucking certain scenarios, and then talks about just, man, I can't even begin to quote fucking Alan Watts, but he's very, very man,
could you give me
difficult, man.
Give me your best Alan
Just
Watts.
go listen.
Give me your best Alan Watts impression right now from Jesse himself.
God damn. Well, he's fucking British, man.
Well, no, not like an impression from him, but like if you had to do an Alan Watts, like from your core of your spiritual being, how would you do it?
He talks about, and this comes from the podcast, or not the podcast.
Just do Jesse. Do your version of Alan Watts.
Do my version of Alan Watts.
But like, don't be Alan Watts, but like, I want to hear your philosophical.
You're getting weird with it, Paul.
Yeah, I can't fucking do that, man.
I just
can't
want
do
to
that.
get deep, man. I want to hear you get deep like he does. I know you have it in you. I just want to hear
Dude,
it.
Alan Watts is been through, all he did was saturate himself with religion and philosophical thought his entire life, and went out and talked with religious and philosophical people and ethics debates and all this. I'm
Get
not even
philosophical
close.
on me real quick. Just as much as you can.
Philosophical as much as I can
On the meaning of life.
The meaning of life. I think it's very much a big possibility that there is a God, but not in the religious sense of a God, or I don't think that it's just on the other end just nothing, that we came from just nothing. I think that there is something so surpassing our thoughts that we could never get there and never reach. So we end up calling it God because that's the best way to explain it. And I think that we're actually blessed to not know some things, because what's great about being a human being is not knowing and learning and growing and trying our best. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of bad shit that comes from that, but I think we need to appreciate the good and the bad and the balance that happens between the two. Yeah, so
I like it, man.
like so fuck, man. I don't
like
know.
it.
I feel like I was not prepared for that. I feel like if you
No,
were prepared,
I got what you were. I got what you were saying, though.
I feel like
I love it.
not knowing the fact that me personally, there's a lot of people out there that definitely think that they know that this is absolutely where we came from. I can guarantee you all those motherfuckers are wrong.
Oh, yes.
Because that's not what human life is about. Human life is about really not knowing the origin or the end, and we're just here to just
It's about the
live
journey, not the why
just
or
to
the how.
just to live it out here. So
There's a lot of amazing, influential people who, with the means of communication and technology, have been able to affect millions upon millions of people. And Alan Watts is one of them, man. We were just short-lived of being able to hear him. I think he died in like the 60s, 70s or 80s. I can't remember.
I mean, you can still listen to his.
Yeah, all his
stuff.
stuff. Yeah. I think that's awesome that we were able to do that. Could you imagine if there was audio from Albert Einstein? How dope that would have been.
It'd be crazy.
I think there was some video footage, right?
I don't really know.
Yeah, I'd have to look into
I
it.
have no clue.
Stephen Hawking was cool. I mean, granted, he was during our time, and there's a lot of shit.
He had a lot of really interesting stuff to say.
He
People,
did.
I don't think people think of him the right way. They just think of him as the
Guy in a
super smart
wheelchair.
dude in a robot chair, basically.
Yeah.
And they heard the stuff that I shouldn't say the news, but they heard the popular stuff that gets said, little tiny things. But most people, including myself, couldn't give you like a Stephen Hawking quote or talk about the stuff that he really talked
He
about.
was big into he didn't make it a point to make predictions, but he had said that AI eventually will take over.
No, he did
Robots
he
will
did a
take
lot
over.
of he said, I mean, honestly, Elon Musk kind of mimics some of his thought process talking about AI and the advancement of technology and how we don't realize what we've already created, how we don't realize what we've done, so on and so forth.
Yeah. But Hawkins went to the extent to say, and I know Musk has too, that AI will eventually take over, and then they will supersede human beings, which is fine. But he'd said some other stuff. There was like 7 or 8 bold predictions that Stephen Hawkins made. It was,
Meh.
they were all fairly interesting, and climate change and shit like that. He was all about that and all that good stuff. So I love influential people, man.
Yeah, there's
But
some
at the same
interesting
time,
individuals out there.
I would love to be influential on people as well. I mean, in the essence of...
Just got to come up with some interesting shit, man.
That's true. And that's what we're trying
Just
to
talk
do
about
here.
lizard people and the moon.
No, don't do that. YouTube don't like that.
YouTube doesn't like that.
YouTube don't like it.
if you're sure that's just YouTube.
Dude, in Belton, did you hear about in Belton, that Asian place over there by the
They were
donut
jerking
place?
motherfuckers off.
There was 2 of them. Two
Two of 'em.
massage parlors.
Immediately right when I heard about that, I was like, fuck, man. There were
Why?
fucking $40 goddamn hand jobs.
I didn't know about that.
Handing
like,
out
God
$40
damn it,
BJs
man.
that I could have been going to this whole time.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was just hand
I
jobs.
wonder what the secret
I
word
don't know.
was.
Here's $40, blow me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think there's a secret code.
Damn.
I actually made a joke about that, like whenever we were originally talking about it, that I can't repeat on this podcast because it might have.
Oh yeah. No, you shouldn't say that. I know exactly
Yeah,
the joke you're making. And the
crossed
joke,
line a little bit.
the joke is hilarious, by the way.
I just have to be careful. It was a little.
Little deep.
It was inappropriate.
It's like
Let's just say it was inappropriate. It might have offended a certain
People.
ethnic
Shouldn't
background.
people
of
be able to do whatever they want, though? If you have a business and you're giving
We've talked about this
massages-
before.
yeah,
We actually had a whole podcast about prostitution.
like Asian massages, though?
I mean, not specifically
The
Asian
fact that
massages.
fucking hand jobs aren't fucking legal. blows my mind, man.
I mean, they're not exactly illegal. Like you can get a
no,
hand
but you
job.
just can't
Can
pay
you
for it.
imagine,
You just
like,
can't pay for it.
Imagine like the Belton PD, like, man, we're gonna go raid this place, man. They be giving handies for $40. Let's go get them, man. Let's go get them. Like, really? Come on. I guarantee one of those cops got a handy for 40. Maybe.
That's how they knew. That's
Do
how
you
they found
think
out.
they have to
Yeah.
like follow through? Do you think that like the undercover cops like have to follow through with the fucking
How
hand
do you
jobs?
not follow through?
Or does like first stroke be like, oh, fucking Belton
Cuff 'em.
PD,
Yeah.
Belton PD,
SWAT.
and then they go home with just blue balls. Fuck this goddamn job, man.
I was gonna cuff him.
goddamn
I was gonna
job.
call it right there, but she was real good. Like in the first 5 seconds, I was like, oh, I should keep going with this. I should
Yeah.
keep rolling.
Well,
We'll get
okay.
him next time. We'll catch him next time.
In all honesty, fucking jokes aside, because of the way that our legal fucking process is set up now, they should be busted. They should be busted and taken down because that has a lot to do with fucking sex trafficking, which is
True.
fucking awful. Probably the worst fucking thing that happens is fucking sex trafficking, and it creates it. But the problem is, it being legal actually creates a lot of the fucking
And
sex
that's for
trafficking.
everything.
But you also need to make sure that the sex trafficking doesn't happen.
Again, I mean,
That's why I've always said the best way to prevent it is to legalize it, regulate it,
and
make sure that
that's what we
I mean, it's
said
the
in
same
the
thing. They go back
prostitution,
to- they
right?
go
make
back
sure
to-
that the people
That's
that are
what we said.
involved, making sure that the people that are involved are properly taken care of and they're making a fair amount of wage off of it and they're not being fucking mistreated. And they're,
Exactly.
It's like if you go to something like the DEA instead of just local police. Like local police will arrest the kid dealing marijuana, right? DEA, a little bit smarter than that, is going to follow that to the supplier, and then maybe get more federal agents involved and go on farther up the ladder. Like same thing with prostitution.
But hold
like
on,
you really
hold on,
want
hold on.
to
I gotta-
stop the sex trafficking. Don't stop the Asian massage parlor.
Right.
That you're literally a new one will open up.
Johnny, thank you for bringing this up, though. So if they continue to follow those steps, though, will they end back up investigating themselves? Because the governments are the ones who had just passed out these drugs, are the ones who allow the cartel to come do it.
I get what you're saying.
Like, dude,
there.
it's a revolving circle. You can say that in the DEA and then the FBI and then the CIA. Like, no,
Yeah,
they're
no, I
not
mean,
going to investigate.
Now you're
themselves.
getting into some big style conspiracy stuff where you're like, man,
Is
the
it
war,
really,
the
though?
war. No, I mean it kind of is to a degree where you're getting into the war on drugs and
If
like
you
the whole.
if
the
you
whole,
try and bring down the biggest cojones,
Can you
man.
turn that heater down a little bit?
and
I'm sorry.
like the whole
Fucking
Colombian cocaine thing and how actually like a lot of money was given to Pablo Escobar from the United States of America and so on and so forth. You start getting into a bunch of stuff.
That's what
that-
I'm saying, though.
That's
like,
not conspiracy theory, by the way. That
I
was
know.
actually the U.S. government actually started the crack epidemic, which the
Yeah.
U.S. government's never really been held
so
accountable
that's what I'm
for.
saying. Like in that,
Even though that was
okay.
proven.
So in that period of
because
time,
who,
they
who
would.
polices the U.S. government?
Right?
That's what I'm saying. In that period
Nobody.
of time, let's,
Technically, we the people are. So
So-
technically, we the people need to step up in a tyrannical government whenever they're wrong, and then we come in and fuck them up, and then we reestablish some new shit. But no, they're
What are
already
you
running
supposed
us.
to do? Everybody
The
riot
problem
and be
is-
like, "Yo, Epstein didn't kill himself." Everybody riot.
The
Everybody
problem is they
ask
already-
for the evidence. Ask for the truth.
no one has a better idea. That's what the problem is.
Eh.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
I
just
got a
saying
better idea. No, just kidding. No, I don't.
they're out there, and there are people out there that
Absolutely.
maybe,
Absolutely.
maybe
Resource-based economies, capitalism's too corrupt. Tim Curry has a great idea.
But see what I'm saying though? Like in the
God,
instance,
it's so bad because nobody's
no.
gonna get that.
I don't
Only
know
me and
Tim
Johnny
Curry.
get that.
I don't know who's Tim Curry.
Tim Curry has a clip.
He's-
I wish you could somehow package this in to the podcast.
Want to be to the one place that I can be free of capitalism.
Space. Space.
Space.
He's talking about you got to go to outer space. The one place that has not been corrupted by capitalism. Space. Never
Oh,
mind.
space.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Space. He says it weird. I'll show you the clip.
Space.
Spice. He says it like very Tim Curry-esque. It's just Tim Curry.
Tim Curry's great.
man. Tim Curry needs to be president of the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, Donald Trump can do it. Why not?
Very true. Ronald Reagan, whoever else used to be actors and then turned into president.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California.
He was. California's getting fucked right now by wildfires. Extremely fucked. Big time. Big time, man.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. There's
I haven't
like
kept up with that as much as I probably should.
16 to 18 wildfires, massive wildfires in the
I
outskirts.
still feel
of
like this
LA.
is an every year kind of thing.
It's worse this year. It's massive, dude. It's massive. Thousands upon thousands. I mean, and if it's every year and they're massive, it's slowly. I mean, they say there's like 1 to maybe it was like 5 million people that are leaving California every year, just moving out.
I mean, That's the price you pay for living in one of the most beautiful places in the United States. Obviously, that's a joke. Don't come at me if you have relatives that are like, they had to leave their home because their house was on fire and yada, yada, yada. Like,
well, it's not only that. I mean, it's been mass power outages and mass PG&E shutting off power, which we talked about. And it's still going. It's still going on right now. They're still shutting off power to millions of people.
I mean, it goes with the same thing with, like, there's the running. It's been a joke for a long time, or a running gag, or whatever you want to call it. I've seen it numerous times. But, like, the whole thing with, like, New Orleans always, like, flooding and stuff. It's like, yes, you chose to live somewhere
under sea level.
That is under sea level, that relies on mechanical fucking things to pump water so that you're not underwater.
Yeah, it's your own fault.
That's your own fault to a degree. There's some super poor families that don't have the opportunity to move, and so on and so forth. You're getting into some culture shock kind of stuff.
I don't know if I completely agree with that.
With what? With what part of that?
I don't know. I think that our government has plenty of money to make sure that those places are fucking safe. Like, I remember, what was it? Nas talked about Bush knew the levees would have broke.
Yeah. No, it wasn't Nas. It wasn't Nas. It was Kanye.
Was it Kanye?
I'm pretty sure it was Kanye.
You could say it was Nas.
Hold up.
It wasn't Nas.
You could say the same. Everywhere has its problems. You could say the same thing
Kanye,
for us.
bro.
We live in Tornado Alley. We know.
You're right. It was Kanye.
Yeah.
We know that tornadoes come through here. You cannot be mad if you live in Missouri and your house gets utterly destroyed by a tornado. You can be sad. You can be like, oh, that's fucked up. You cannot be like, why? Why did this happen? I had no idea. It happens every year, multiple times a year. Same with New Orleans flooding. Same with wildfires in California. Same with earthquakes in wherever, San Antonio or what. Like, it.
Natural disasters don't happen.
Shit happens, and shit happens more reliably in certain areas.
And I will say this.
You know this ahead of time.
It's not because gay people exist and gay people are blowing each other.
Yeah.
Anytime I hear a natural disaster fucking happen and there's some, like, super fucking ridiculous extremist Christian who's just as bad as ISIS in my fucking opinion, who's like, yeah, it's because people are blowing each other. God punished you because, you know, people are blowing each other in New Orleans, or the gays out in California.
Dude,
that's why God is.
I will only listen to them if they also choose to not eat shellfish, and they also choose to not wear fabrics of
not to bring it back to that
polyester.
I'm sorry, I didn't
there was this weird video of a transgender. It was a transgender guy. He's like at this bar and they're recording him, and he's like in this dress, like a pregnant dress, and just starts stabbing his pregnant dress. Pulls out a plastic baby and just starts pulling guts out at a bar. And someone records the shit and he's just eating the blood.
What?
Okay, is this like art? What is this?
It's like pro-abortion shit, man. It was just crazy. I don't know. You brought that up, and for some reason that triggered my mind. I don't know why. I just brought it up, but
they call that pro-choice, by the way. It's
pro-choice. That's what I'm sorry.
Yeah, not really pro-abortion. Like everyone has to get abortions.
Right.
I'm pro-abortion. You must get an abortion.
Pro-choice is what I meant to say. Sorry. Just weird, man. We live in weird times. Like that shit is more allowed to be on TV in transgender kids as well is allowed now, as opposed to other things. It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that, and there's a lot of gray area with a bunch of that stuff.
There is, yeah, 100%.
There's a lot of gray area with a lot in life, but those are more of them, is that thing. And obviously, we've talked about the abortion thing before. I don't want to get all into it.
I don't either. But
abortion's a super gray subject.
We can all ask each other this question. There are two sexes on this world, and it's male and female.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything more than that.
I mean, you can technically be born, like, what is it called?
It's very rare,
you got, like,
right?
XXY or whatever.
It's very rare.
Hermaphrodite?
Yeah, hermaphrodite, where you have both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So technically that can happen as well, but
sure. And that's still like up to them, but you're right that there is, but there's more. There are some females that are more masculine than fucking me. Like, so all that breaks down within a different thing. You don't not to get.
But they have a vagina, you have a dick.
But it's
if you're going by like the scientific quotations of what genetics says that you are.
And you should have to go by that, because you have people in high school who are males who are identifying as women, and they're going in, they're winning these competitions.
See, no, to me that's ridiculous. If you're born, if you're X, Y, or whatever, and you're born with a penis and you're a male, you can identify as a female and want to dress up and do. I'm not mad at any of that. You want to dress up, you want to do all that stuff. That's completely your choice. That's fine. You can't go into something that is a completely male thing,
right?
or a
female.
completely female thing and expect it, and vice versa. Like all that shit's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
I'm for anyone doing what they want to do to make themselves happy.
You can do whatever you want. Fucking.
But what I'm saying
literally
is,
do whatever you want with your body, as long as you're not hurting anyone else.
Who's fucking with their rights though? Who's like fucking with them, and like why do they feel so upset? I'm just trying to figure that out. You know, like.
Well, they probably are a very. Oh God, damn it! I couldn't think of the word earlier. Whenever I was talking about the Jewish people, that they were very
persecuted.
Persecuted. They're probably a very persecuted group of fucking people. Don't get me wrong. Because
how? How? I grew up my whole life. If I would have known that, I mean, and I do know it now. Like
they probably get made fun of a lot because that's a very easy fucking group to make fun of.
I'm not gonna make.
So they're probably like heavily prosecuted, but at the same time, you can't. Like I don't know where I'm going with this. There's nothing wrong with doing whatever you want with your body. I think you need to be a little bit more worried about like surgery and shit, because surgery is fucking scary. Like that shit.
I wasn't saying that, Jesse. I've got no problem with any of that.
Same.
I was talking about I was talking about like, if someone is born a man, they get a sex change surgery or whatever and become a female.
Yes.
And then participate in female sports and set a bunch of records.
No. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. No,
that's all I was saying. No, the rest of it I'm cool with. I agree with you. Do whatever you want. If you want to have the surgery, have the surgery.
We've made that clear in this podcast many times.
Yeah, do whatever you want. I'm very libertarian as well.
Sports is separated for a reason, because whether or not you want to hear it or not, like
we're different on a genetic level.
On a genetic level, females have certain abilities that are more specific and more available to them. And the same with guys. Guys are more genetic for physical fucking athletic things.
And that's not to say that there's not one woman on this earth that couldn't play in the NFL. I'm sure that woman exists.
I'm sure there is
somewhere. And if she was able to play in the NFL and she did it, fucking kudos to her.
I'm sure there is some Samoan woman out there that could just fucking
offensive line, dude.
Just fucking tear it up.
But you can't have a male really NFL player setting records in a female. I'm trying to think of an example of the sport.
You couldn't have
female rugby.
You couldn't have fucking you couldn't have Salvador Perez say he identifies as a woman and go play softball for the women's USA team during World Cup final or whatever it is.
No, yeah.
He would crush, there's a reason. He would crush.
No, absolutely. There's a reason for that. Yeah. And that strictly comes down to the hormones that your body produces. You just produce more athletic fucking hormones.
I mean, we're different on a genetic level.
And
just plain and simple.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's just the way that the earth put us here as.
Yeah, and you just...
Why is that hard for people to look past?
Sometimes you just got to deal with, man, I was given the shit that I was given, and I'm going to have to fucking live with it. My predisposition to fucking alcoholism. Cheers, guys. I have to deal with that. You know, I got to deal with, a lot of shit. I had horrible acne whenever I was a kid, and it's just shitty genetics. I just can't go and, hey, fix my genes, which maybe in the future they'll be able to. Maybe.
They can do that now.
Like right now, but like maybe No,
you pay enough money, they can use CRISPR and snip out the alcoholism gene right out of you.
I think a lot of shit stems from that people look negatively on the bad shit that they have to go through in life, when actually you should appreciate the negative shit that's happening to you, because it makes you interesting. You have good stories to tell, and you can talk about how you became stronger from it and how you learned from your hardships and how it ended up making you a better person, as opposed to just being angry that life was shitty towards you. Because everyone has their afflictions. Everyone has their fucking struggles. But what you can't do is just be like, oh, the world was just so shitty to me, and I got the fucking short end of the goddamn stick, so now I'm going to be fucking angry at the world. No, it's not you need to appreciate the struggles that were given to you, because they're character building fucking things in the end. Even though I'm talking about like alcoholism and I'm like sitting here drinking in front of the camera. But so I know my opinion probably won't be taken too seriously right now with that. But everyone goes through struggles, and the big portion of it is don't just be angry at it. Fucking realize that it's actually a gift to you. Your struggles are a gift. Because a perfect life is a fucking boring one. You'd want some struggle. If you lived 100-year life with everything fucking handed to you and no struggle whatsoever, no fucking illness, you would be like, man, this...
You don't know that.
We've talked about this before.
You can't say that though, because you've never lived that life.
That's part of human life.
I can reasonably suggest or assume that if you had everything in life, everything given to you.
That's not what. Is that what you said?
Yeah, he's living a
Okay.
life with no struggles. If you
For
had,
sure, yeah.
if you could
No
have
struggles.
anything, if you could have anything you wanted in the palm of your hand at any moment, no struggles whatsoever, never had to fight for anything, never had to learn anything.
Life is exactly the way that you want it.
Life's always
You'd
perfect
be
all the
bored.
time, 100%.
I mean,
You would
it's-
get
you'd
over
be
that.
bored.
There's
It's all
no
speculation,
There's no.
man.
You're right,
It's all
but it's
speculation.
a good assumption, is what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, we've lived a life of struggle. I mean, we're all right around 30 years old. We've all had struggle. We've all had fucking people die and a whole bunch of different shit that's happened to us that involves struggle. And yeah, it makes us who we are and shit like that. But none of us have lived a life what you just described. So we can't sit there and make an assumption in any way, shape, or
and
form.
nobody
we'll
has.
We'll never be able to. But the whole point is that everybody lives a different life and everybody has struggle.
Yeah, nobody's lived a perfect life.
No, that's impossible. But the whole point is what I was saying is if it was somehow possible for a human being to live an absolutely perfect life that catered exactly to how they wanted reality, you would end up being extremely bored with it, and you'd want some fucking struggle in the end, because that is kind of what almost adds some shit to fucking life anyway. Why would you need to develop? Why would you ever question anything? Whereas, like, how would you ever know that there was a good day if all your days are good? Like, you can appreciate a good day after, like, a fucking shitty year. If you have a shitty year, and then you have, like, one fucking good day, you're like, this is the fucking best day ever. It's all in comparison. You need the bad to appreciate the good. It's like basic... What is that? Taoism, like yin and yang, the balance between
and
it
even
all. It's just how it fucking. That's just how the universe works.
That's
It's
coming
the
from three
balance.
guys where a lot
And
of...
I know this is my opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
But even if you go and compare, like, everybody goes through struggle. Nobody's lived a perfect life. You take someone who was born with way more money readily available, way better looks, so on and so forth, like way better looks than all of us, way more money than all of us, what we would consider a better life, quote unquote. They go through struggle too, and it's all relative.
Yeah.
It's honestly all relative. If you've never broken a bone in your body and you break your finger, that's going to be the worst broken bone that you've ever had, correct? And then 2 years later, you break your femur, that's going to be a lot fucking worse. But at the time, your first broken bone, your finger or whatever, was the worst experience. It's all relative for different people. There's
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I
Like-
think the relative, the aspect I was looking at was a little bit different, but
Like, look at a little kid, like a little fucking baby, right? Little baby, like running around. They have a toy. You take that toy away from them, right? They will fucking cry, right? They'll fucking be upset. It's like you literally like murdered a fucking family member.
I mean,
or a
I'll do
close-
the same thing. Don't fucking...
yeah,
Like-
that's true.
So to them, like, that's the worst fucking thing that ever just fucking happened to them. You just took away my goddamn toy. When little do they know, oh, life has got a way much worse shit for you in the fucking future. We need to look at it like that.
Jesse, let me see your beer real quick.
Well, we are at the top of the hour, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast.
Hey.
I know it was a little different. But it was good. It was fun. Please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell
You
notification.
really had to think
Hit the
about
bell
that.
notification.
And to all our junkies out
Hit
there.
subscribe button.
Spread us out on Twitter. Follow us on
Facebook, MySpace,
Twitter is
Instagram, Grinder.
You fucked me up with your laugh, man.
Grinder.
Hit the like button. Hit the bell notification. Hit the subscribe button to all our junkies out there.
Stay fly and ring the bell.